What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Shifting Lanes, and we're going to do another live broadcast. This time we've got a different car. It's also very, very pretty. This is the M240i xDrive, and it looks freaking gorgeous. The paint is called Thunder Night Metallic. I think that's the best paint name ever. And we're going to do a quick walk around with this car because this thing is such a treat. This car is just completely bonkers. It's so much fun. There's a lot of power, and the handling is just out of this world. This is a proper 2 Series successor. This is the second generation, and I want to share with you all the changes that you see with the new generation. So first of all, this is a 2 Series coupe. This is not to be mistaken with the 2 Series Grand Coupe. Now the Grand Coupe, it's got 4 doors and it's also front wheel drive, whereas this one is the 2 Series coupe. It's 2 doors and it's rear wheel drive based. This being the M240i xDrive means that it has all-wheel drive, but it's still rear-wheel drive based. The base version of this car is the 230i, and that's only a rear-wheel drive. But what's awesome about this car, one of the many things that's really awesome about this car is what's underneath the engine bay. And this thing has a 3-liter turbocharged. It's got the twin scroll turbocharger, and it's making 369 horsepower, and actually 382 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. That's the B58 engine. So if you're familiar with the Toyota Supra or the BMW Z4, this has the same engine. This also has that power bump. It's making 47 more horsepower than the previous one. So if you look at the Toyota Supra between model years 2020 and model year 2021, they also experienced that power bump. But basically, plenty of power. But before we continue with that, let's take a look at the exterior design. The front end has been fully reconfigured. Thankfully, it doesn't have the weird kidney grills that you find in the BMW M4 or the 7 Series. This is still a big kidney grill, but it doesn't look ridiculous. It looks like it fits the car. And if you notice, there's active air flaps on here. So this thing will actually open and close. So this is right now in the open configuration, and when you shut the car off, this thing will close. If you look at the headlights, the daytime running lights look really nice. And then there's some exposed radiators right there and cooling for the brakes. So that's really cool. Overall, I think this looks more chiseled compared to the last generation 2 Series. It looks angrier, and that's a really good thing. Now, if you look at the front axle, it is wider than the previous one. It's actually 2.5 inches wider front track. So that's a great thing. That's going to give you more grip. And you could tell because the wheel arches on this thing is huge. It kind of gives it that wide body look. And just take a look at the amount of camber on this thing. And you could tell that this is a performance-oriented car because it's got a really nice stance. And I love how flush the wheel looks with the fenders, and it looks really good. Now, moving on to the side, you'll notice that you've got the M-style mirrors here, so that looks really cool. And this is one of those cars that if you drive with the windows down, there's not a lot of wind buffeting on there, so this is a pretty comfortable car to drive with the windows down. That's great. And if you notice the side skirts, it's colored black, and you can also see in the back there, that's also black. I don't know if I'm a big fan of that, but it blends in pretty nicely with this Thunder Night metallic purple color. But I think in lighter finishes, you're gonna see that even more. Now let's take a look at the brakes. This has fixed calipers. It's got the M badging on there, so that's really cool. You'll actually see a lot of M badges everywhere on the wheels. Pardon the curb rash there. And also more M badging back there. Now if you look at the back, I'm not a complete fan of the back design, but you still got that dual exhaust. You got the M240i badge and the xDrive badge on there as well. And on the trunk, you've got this lid mounted spoiler, which is really nice. Tire wise, this is a 19-inch wheel. This is the Pilot Sport 4S, and it's 245, or actually it's 255 in the back, 35 aspect ratio. So this is running a staggered setup where the back is a little bit thicker than the fronts. Let's jump inside here. This is finished in the black leather, and you'll see like a lot of other M touches. You know, you've got the special colors there. You've got the special blue stitching. You've got the door sill, and if you look at the dead pedal, is the letter M, and also more special flag colors. Let's jump inside. All right, comfy in here. The seats are great. It's super supportive. The bolsters are pretty thick. It's going to lock you in here during hard cornering, and that's great. This has the 8-speed automatic transmission from ZF or ZF, and it is a beautiful transmission. It shifts lightning smooth and very quickly. This is running the iDrive system. It's the iDrive 7, and there's a bunch of different driving modes on here. Sport is a really good mode to put yourself into, and you could even go to Sport Standard or Sport Plus. Now, if you look over here, the infotainment system, that's an 8.8-inch touchscreen, so you can use it just like your iPad or whatever. There's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, of course. Or you could use this iDrive system, which I like a lot. And looking straight ahead, we've got a 12.3-inch fully digital instrument cluster. Looks really good. And right above, might be hard to see, but there's a heads-up display. Hey, what's up, Khan? You said that the back looks like a GT86. You know what? To an extent, yeah, a little bit. This is definitely a similarly sized car, and I just love these small cars. They're so easy to toss around, and they're really great to drive. So back to the steering wheel. I love that there's a heated steering wheel button on there. Really convenient. I don't need it right now because it's super hot. And there's also paddle shifters on here. And what I love about these paddle shifters is that BMW has something that's called the sprint function. So if you're cruising on the highway, you're in 8th gear, and you want to make that last minute pass, you just press and hold on the left paddle, and it's going to bump you down to the lowest usable gear. So it's going to bump you down like 3 or 4 gears. And at that point, you're going to be making peak torque so that you can make that last minute pass. So that's a really cool feature. Audi has the same thing, and I wish that other car companies that have paddle shifters also implement the same thing, because that's just a software coding thing. Back to the center console, you've got this soft touch buttons for your presets, your volume knob, and then all your HVAC controls are over here. This also has a back seat, and you know what? The back seat's actually usable, but it really depends on how tall you are. If you're 5'8" or so, it's probably pretty comfortable, but if you're any taller than that, then yeah, you don't want to be back there for a very long time. But anyway, so that's the M240i walk around. I really want to thank you guys for watching.